All right, we can go ahead and get started here. It looks like we're almost to the top of the hour. So, and looks like quite a few people are coming in. So good afternoon, everybody, unless you're on the West Coast or Mountain Time. I guess it's still morning for you folks. And then, oh, hold on. This is actually recording live to YouTube, so I had to pause that real quick. If everybody would want to, it looks like a few people already have started to, they know the drill. They know what I'm going to say. If you want to go into the chat and say where you're from and how long you've been in the industry. And then for questions during the session, please put those questions in the Q&A. And then we will, if anybody wants to actually ask a question live, you can raise your hand. And we could open it up and let people ask a question that way. You know, sometimes it's hard if you have a question that's a little complex or you don't want to type it out, you know, you can raise hand and we'll do it that way. So let's start by just going around the panelist group here and just introducing everybody. So I'll start with myself. My name's Travis Howell. I'm the marketing manager for HL Flake and International Key Supply. And our family of companies, which I'll talk about here in a minute. And then let's start with Tony, if you want to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Travis, and thank you for allowing us to conduct this webinar today. My name is Tony Presidio. Actually, this June, next month, is what, a couple days now, or day or so, will be my 20th year in the industry, counting distributor time. Currently, right now, my position with Kaba Ilco Advanced Diagnostics is a product specialist, product sales for the Western region, and happy again to be part of this panelist group.
Good. Mike, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Mike Phillips, product manager for all cylinders, Ilco, Peaks, and hardware. Been in the industry 35 years and been at Ilco for 35 years since the concrete was still wet.
Kevin, since you're on screen, you want to go next?
Oh, sorry, man. My name is Kevin Jenson. I'm the principal in Summit Security Sales. We're very blessed to be the Ilco and AD reps for Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and then we go as far east as Memphis. Just really, really appreciative for everybody making the time and take a look at our stuff. And thanks for being here.
Great. And Jade, you want to go next?
Sure. Hello, I'm Jade Holland, East Coast Regional Sales Manager for Ilco and AD. So supporting the International Key Supply and Flake and Florida customers and any other of your customers on the East Coast. So thanks today for joining our webinar.
Great. And then last but not least, Joe.
I'm Joe Williams. I'm the Western Regional Sales Manager for Ilco. I've been in the industry for 35 years with Ingersoll Rand back in the day. I was a sled guy, and now for 17 years with Ilco. So welcome, everybody. Really appreciate everybody coming out.
Thanks. So I'm going to start with just a brief introduction on our family of companies. You know, if you have been attending any of our webinars, you probably have this memorized, because I start every one of them with this introduction. But, you know, just for those who may be new, I want to be sure it's clear as to who we are, just because we have had changes in the last year, and really by bringing these four companies together. So we are now HL Flake Security Hardware, International Key Supply, McDonald Dash Locksmith Supply, and H.E. Mitchell. And so between these four companies, we have 5 locations across the country. And our goal really is to try to get as close to as many of our customers as possible, to try to have all of the US in that 1 and 2 day shipping zone. And then also what we're working towards is bringing all of the inventory in all of these locations together so that you, the customer, have visibility to all of it. As of today, 4 of the locations are together. Houston, Memphis, Jacksonville, and Portland are all on the same system. The last one to be added is the Farmingdale, New York location, which is International Key Supply. So really, once we get them onto the same system, which would happen, you know, we're looking at late summer, then any of the websites that you go to, or you would have visibility to all products in all locations. As of today, if you call your salesperson, they have access, they can look up availability in all locations, regardless of what system it's on. But, just for you, if you want to do it on the web, that's really what we're building towards. So, and then, us as a distributor, what is the value that we bring to you, the customer? It's really in the inventory that we stock. And this is, where this family of companies really separate ourselves, is how broad our inventory offering is, from how much we're involved in automotive, as well as access control, commercial and residential hardware. Really, Houston has one of the largest inventory of padlocks in the nation. And then also, the safes that we sell, safe locks, and then just the gamut of tools, all locksmith tools, we look to have in stock, as well as the full offering of the variety of key machines. So it's really our product offering, that kind of is the backbone of who we are. But then also the value that we look to bring to you is, it's also not only having those products in stock, but it's being fast to deliver them to you. So, if you order today, we ship it today. And we also look to be a reliable partner, in that when you place the order, you can know that it's actually on its way. So we do that by having an industry-leading fill rate, which means we actually have the items that we stock are actually sitting on the shelf ready to go. So also we look to be a partner to you by having a knowledgeable staff. We spend a lot of time and a lot of effort into training our staff. And then we also have dedicated technical support. And these are guys that are not doing selling. They're really just here as tech support. We have that both for automotive and for really access control. For those two specialties, we have dedicated tech support guys. Of course, we look to be highly competitive on pricing. We do that by listening to you, our customer. So we're always open, to hear what you're seeing out there in the market. And then lastly, with bringing these four companies together, we now have a unified, really low free freight minimum. We have a $100 minimum order in order to get free ground freight. And then we've made it easy in that any order under that is a flat $9.95 shipping fee. So then, we've been working on producing quite a few of these online, webinars and other live streaming events. Just want to make sure you're aware of where you can go to see information about those. You can go to hlflake.com and click on the events tab under resources, or you can go to International Key Supply, and on the homepage, there's a button to find the upcoming events. So, and then also, we're posting as many of the past events as we can onto HL Flake or International Key Supply's YouTube page, as well as we're doing some separate live streaming events that really aren't webinars. They're, just straight to YouTube or straight to Facebook. So be sure to check out both of these and subscribe. As of right now, we're somewhat separating them. More of the commercial access control is under HL Flake. Automotive is under International Key Supply. We're working on a plan to really bring our social media, or at least bring our YouTube and some of our marketing efforts under one roof to make it less confusing for you. So you're not wondering, well, where do I have to go to try to find this video? So, and last thing, we are going to be doing a drawing at the end of this webinar. So hang on to the end. We'll do a spin the wheel of all the names of the people who are here with us today. And we'll be giving away a $200 Best Buy gift card. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you guys. I guess, Tony, you're the one that's going to share screen. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And I'll jump back on at the end. I mean, I'll be on here the whole time, but I'll be on at the end to do the drawing. So, thanks.
Thank you, Travis. We'll turn it actually over to Mike Phillips, who leads up this presentation. is our lead presenter. And Mike, I'll work the background here for you. So I'm going to turn it over to you at this point.
All right, thanks, Travis and Tony. Thank you all for joining. We're going to have a discussion, point out some details and stuff about Peak's preferred patent key control system. One of the points to note on this first slide is powered by Ilco. We assumed responsibility of the manufacturing of Peaks around 2014 in the Ilco cylinder factory in North Carolina, which is the point in time when we started to redesign much of the product line to make it a little more locksmith friendly, last longer and work better. So that's the importance of the powered by Ilco. One other thing I'd point out on this slide is all of the main components are made in the factory in North Carolina. So this is a made in USA product. It makes it much easier to control inventories and control expedition of product. Okay, Tony. Importance of this slide is probably one of the most important factors of this patent key control program is the flexibility of it. If you'll notice in the circle with all the different cylinders in it, starting at the top, there is a small format core, and then moving clockwise, a mortise cylinder, rim cylinder, a screw cap key and knob with a full-size face, another screw cap key and knob with the smaller diameter face, primarily targeted at Sargent, Falcon, Yale, that sort of thing. The key and knob at the bottom has the crisscross rear on it for those specific applications that require it. Then you'll have a Sargent large format core, Corbin Russwin, Schlage, and Yale. So the beauty of this program is we're able to put all of those different cylinders all on the same keyway or series family of keyways so that it makes it the most flexible for retrofitting an existing property that may have had many additions over the years and may have many different kinds of hardware on it. Rather than having an expensive hardware replacement, we just make a cylinder that'll fit that hardware so that you can retro right into what you already have. Next slide, Tony. That makes it perfect for all of these different types of facilities, whether they are small properties with 1 or 2 doors like barbershops, or whether they're massive facilities like universities or institutions that have thousands of doors. There is a program within Peaks Preferred that suits it to fit any of these properties. So if you are a dealer for Peaks Preferred products, you have the opportunity to sell into any of these properties, and we have the appropriate keyways or family of keyways that will answer this as a solution. So this is just a sample of all of those, from educational, universities, banks, governments. There's everything included in the country we can retrofit with Peaks. Okay, Tony. So this is a pretty simple snapshot of how it works. Inside of the cylinder, just behind the head of the plug, there is a secondary shear line at a different level. In this shear line, there is a Peaks patented pin. There is a peak on the key that is also patented in unison with this pin. So no matter if you use a conventional key that would go into the keyway and it was cut to the appropriate combination, unless you have the patented peak on the key to raise the patented pin to the appropriate shear line, the cylinder will still not function. And one of the beauties of this is the simplicity of it. Since it doesn't have a lot of whistles and bells going on inside of the cylinder, it kind of aids it to make it last longer and have less likely a problem of something going wrong without all of the other sidebars, finger pins, and that sort of thing. There's not a whole lot of additional springs and pieces and parts. So this is a pretty simplistic way to get key control.
Mike, there was a question came up pretty quick, asked by Mark Peterson. Do you have tail pieces for marks and alarm lock hardware available?
Alarm lock, yes. Marks, there are some available for the crisscross style, the 1006 as it's known, but not in the screw cap versions as of yet. They are drawn, but they are not in stock. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mark. Are you ready?
Next slide. Yep, next slide. So some important things that we possess at the factory in North Carolina to make a good, solid key control system. Having a designated person who does nothing but master key systems, inspects incoming purchase orders, identifies the identification from the keys to make sure the appropriate person is the only person that's getting keys, making sure the policies and all of the ordering and secure purchase order entry and shipping of product. Keeping records up to date so that we always know what has been issued from bidding lists, and making sure everybody that is able to put their hands on this records is qualified, taught, and understands the importance of the security. Next slide, Tony. Some more things on the level of the property itself. What is the most important? Well, the most important is going to be key control. Establishment of policies and procedures to make sure we control the keys at a facility, or at least make sure from the factory we control the keys that go to that facility. Mechanical bypass. Even in this day of a lot of technology and electronic access, many of the universities, municipalities, and commercial properties that we deal with still choose to have a mechanical bypass in the event of an electrical problem. It doesn't make a lot of sense to use a standard commodity cylinder on a bypass to a $1,000 push button or electronic access lock. So we would recommend using something that's patented with key control so that your locking cylinder is as secure as your electronic lock. And the important part of this also is to remove confusion by not having to carry multiple master keys or multiple keys for different systems, whereas we're able to put everything on one system so that change keys all exactly like the master keys, and one master key or several master keys and a grand master key will open everything in the system.
Real quick, for those who are attending today, please feel free to use the Q&A, the question and answer. With Mike Phillips here, it's a ton of knowledge on this product and topic. So please, if there's anything that you're not sure of or didn't make sense or just have a straight question on, use the Q&A and we'll either answer them live or we will type an answer back to you. So hopefully you guys are able to do that today.
Yeah, send those in as soon as you think of them. Don't wait and forget about it. Go ahead and send them in. We'll jump in. We'll get Tony to jump in and we'll answer them right away.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Next slide, Tony. Yep. So in the upgrade and in the redesign, several things to talk about here. So far as mortar cylinders, the mortar cylinders, I changed the cylinder cap itself to read Peaks Preferred to try to separate the older manufacturer product from the product that we manufacture in the North Carolina factory. Now, in the mortar cylinders, the main thing that we changed was we changed the diameter of the plug, and we also moved the plug hole in the housing slightly so that now several things as a synergy to Ilco, you can use all 13 finish cylinder caps that we use for Ilco at no extra charge. We have 17 different cams from the Ilco family that all fit on this Peaks mortar cylinder. The retaining screws for Ilco mortar cylinder are now the identical same retaining screws for Peaks. So any existing locksmith dealer who has experience with servicing Ilco cylinders and installing Ilco cylinders most likely already has all of the accessories and pieces and parts, or can find them locally very quick because of the synergy between the Peaks and the Ilco product. So the same is true with the neck section and rim cylinders. Same diameter change on the plug, same plug hole move, same synergy with tail pieces. There are 3 different tail pieces for our rim cylinders. They come standard with a 2 3/8 inch long rigid tailpiece, which is long enough to operate the Von Duprin exit devices, among other, add-on locks. But there is also a lazy action 2 3/8 tailpiece available for the cylinder in those rare instances when you need one. And there is also a 4-inch long rigid tailpiece that can be ordered separately to go on this cylinder that has also the perforated breakaways so that you can break it to length if what your application is exceeds the need of the 2 3/8 inch tailpiece. Rim cylinder also, the design change went from a 2-screw retainer for the tailpiece to a screw cap retainer, which all of us as locksmiths would prefer to use. Now we get to key and knob. 2 main changes on the key and knob. The 2 screw cap versions that are shown there on the screen. The full-size diameter plug head is the one that typically replaces all of the Schlage applications with the full-size head. The one on the left is the smaller head diameter, which typically fits in your Sargent, Falcon, Weiser, some Yale. All of the tailpieces that come with these cylinders are the identical same tailpieces that work with the Ilco 1599 and the Ilco 1579. Because the applications are the same, now the tailpieces and all of the accessories are the same. So the shell and plug is solid brass, 2 finishes, multiple tailpieces. I'll also add to mention that most people do not realize it, but all of the dimensions on the back of our rim cylinder is the same as our key and knob cylinders. So any tailpieces that fit on our key and knob will fit our rim cylinders, and any of our rim cylinder tailpieces will fit on our key and knob cylinders that have a screw cap. So in the event that you need to use on a single deadbolt on a very thick door and you're trying to replace that cylinder, you can easily order the 4-inch tailpiece separately and install it on the key and knob cylinder and replace that cylinder. Okay, next slide, Tony. Small format interchangeable cores. The reason there's 2 of them here is pretty obvious. The one at the top has the individual chambers like Best, the original Best, and the one below it has a slide cover like a key and knob cylinder or a Falcon small format key and knob, small format interchangeable cylinder. It's just a preference on which one you choose to use, whether you would rather do the individual chambers. They are both made out of the identical same cylinder. I basically add one operation to the slide cover version and mill that slot on top of the cylinder when the cylinder is ordered. So they're identically the same cylinder, both solid brass, shell and plug and sleeve.
Mike, we have a question here from Jeff Simmons. Does the factory do the Master King or can the locksmith do it?
We do it both ways. And we'll go over that in some detail toward the end. And there's another question after that. Ask Jeff to jump back in there, please.
Yeah, the other one was from Paul Bartlett. He was asking what the buy-in cost was.
The typical buy-in cost is $3,000 list. However, there will be an extended promotion I was going to go over at the end for the month of June, whereas we'll waive that $3,000 buy-in. We'll only require the price of a pin kit, the universal pin kit, for the free gift box, and to get you in business to get started. So we'll go over that toward the end, but I'm glad he asked when he did. I want him to ask the questions when you see them, think about them, so that you get your answer right away.
Thank you. Thank you guys for asking us questions, and thanks, Mike.
All right, next slide, Tony. Here's the family of large formats. As we talked about before, I won't read this word for word. Obviously, it's pretty understandable. The top one's the Schlage, the Yale, the Corbin Russ one, and the Sargent, all of which we can put on the same keyway. All of these, except for the Sargent, are pinned with the same pin kit. On the Schlage. All of them are pinned with the same pin kit except the Schlage. The Schlage core does require a separate kit. The diameter of the pins themselves are smaller than the typical universal kit. It is because of the way the cylinder is put together and has to operate. So we have to have a separate kit just for Schlage. Many people who are not on the West Coast don't ordinarily have to deal with the Schlage cylinders. So the rest of them covers it. If you have to go with Schlage, there is another inexpensive pin kit that ties right into the other kit just for Schlage cores. Any questions come in there, Tony?
Yeah, we have 2 more. Jamie asked, will the AD433 cut the keys?
I'm not particularly familiar with that machine, but I will tell you that it takes no special machine to cut these. They can all be cut on Best A2 specs. The keys can. The one thing that comes into play is if you're going to make a very deep cut, an 8 or a 9 cut next to that peak, you may have to use a cutter with a flat side toward the peak so that it doesn't cut the peak away. In some cases with large master key systems where you're required to use an 8 or a 9 cut next to that peak on the key, you do have to change cutters, but it takes no special machine and it takes no special jaws. What we recommend to cut keys for the peak system is the Futura Edge, especially with the new jaw that we just came out with that has a built-in tip stop. Makes it very accurate, very easy to size up all these keys. Good question.
Excellent.
Was there a second question?
Yeah, excellent point, Mike, on the Futura Edge. Glenn asked, are these considered high security cylinders?
No, these are considered patent key control, which is 85% of high security. The other 15% is you can do UL 437 where you enter steel rods or a plate to keep you from being able to drill it. You have a certain amount of pick resistance. This does have a certain amount of pick resistance. It does have a certain amount of aggravation for drill because we use stainless steel pins and often we use spool pins when we key them at the factory, but it does not pass all of the recommended requirements for high security. The 85% is covered with the key control. And that's exactly why it's so much less expensive than some of the others.
Okay, thanks, Mike, on that. And last, one other one here. Carl asked, how many different pin kits are there? And what is the cost of these kits?
There are 3 different pin kits. There's a universal kit that typically covers the majority of the locks at A2 depths. There is another pin kit that covers at A4 depths. That doesn't include Schlage, but it can be used in all of the other large format, the small format, and the mortise and rim and key and knob cylinders. And then there's that one for the Schlage. I don't memorize the pricing, so give me 1 second and I'll tell you what the price is on the kit. Because I was smart enough to have my book close by. How about that?
Look at that.
How about that? The MSRP on all 3 of the kits is $450
Excellent.
each. Okay, favorable selling points. Well, number one, I need for the dealers to understand that these contracts are written either to the locksmith dealer or to an end user. And the reason that's important is you have a say-so on what is going on with your product. So even though we sell a right to contracts directly to the dealer, we only sell through distribution. We won't ever data mine around. We only go through distribution. Our design is simple. As I said before, it makes it easy to assemble. It makes it last longer. It's much less complicated. We fit virtually into all brands of hardware, by far the most versatile and economical. If there is a situation that comes up where there's a lot of installed hardware that we do not have a cylinder to fit it, obviously we have a full-fledged manufacturing facility in North Carolina where we manufacture all of the Peaks product and most of the Ilco cylinder product. If we need to fit a cylinder into a door, we'll just make it. We're competitively priced. We do not require a special key cutting machine, and we're made exclusively in the USA. Next slide, Tony. Some other specifics and miscellaneous information. The key records manager at the factory will pick out the appropriate keyway and stuff for you. In just a moment, I'm going to go over the process of how to sign up a new dealer or end user and try to make it as simple for you as possible so that you don't have to struggle with that. They'll supply the right keyway and the right contract. All we'll need to do is get the information from the dealer or end user. When placing purchase orders, from the distributor placing purchase orders, the information is the same coming from the dealer to the distributor and the distributor to the factory. They must always include the dealer ID that is on the keyboard. This is established and put on the contract when it's issued so that the distributor and the dealer or end user has access to this number so they know what their dealer ID is. That has to be on purchase orders that come into the factory so that it doesn't slow down the process. Without this ID number, Key Records is not going to process a purchase order, because that is one of the safety checks that keeps us safe and secure. In addition to the ID, if the PO is for combinated cylinders, we have to have either a previous job name, previous distributor PO, previous Ilco sales order number, or a system number, a job name, because there's no sense in sending us a purchase order with combinated cylinders, and then you either got to tell us whether it's a new system or you got to give us some information so that we can go and retrieve the old system. The reason I say this is because it's highly important, whereas we don't want unhappy dealers or unhappy distributors when they send a purchase order and their anticipation and expectation of lead time is immediate or in several days to early a couple of weeks, and nothing happens because it falls out of the normal flow because it's missing a piece of this information. So this is important to try to make sure this all follows through in process. And the signature card, I just wanted to bring up and say, when you have a large property and you're going to have more than one person who needs to be able to sign for product, we have a signature card available where multiple people can be responsible at a property for a contract. So not everybody has to sign the contract.
Mike, we got a few more that come in here. Jamie came back around asking on the 8433 cut standard peaks, or will it cut standard peaks?
Yeah, as long as you use the A2 best requirement, yeah. It uses the A2 best specs.
Okay, and then Glenn has asked, does the bump make placing them in the key machine jaws cause a problem?
It can in some machines. I know for a fact on the Blitz that if you, the peak on the key will get into the jaw slightly before the tip stop. Again, it's one of the reasons why we recommend the Futura Edge, but we have jaws for the Blitz that has been cut away in the front. Most people basically take the jaw off. They grind a relief in the front of the jaw so that the peak doesn't interfere with the jaw until it gets all the way down to the tip stop.
Yeah, he said that he's running an HBC 1200. So
okay, we have those jaws at the factory that are fairly inexpensive that has that cutaway, but most people will take the jaw apart and cut it away themselves. That's what I did to mine.
And one other one here was from Jim. Can a standard A2 pin kit be used, or must the Peaks kit be bought?
The Peaks kit's got to be bought. In years past, when the push button factory and when Peaks was being made in Connecticut, they made a big deal about using the factory pins or that would void the warranty on the cylinders. Since it's been transferred to our responsibility at the Ilco plant in North Carolina, I don't go to that degree, but I will tell you this, there is an overlap in pins. Thank you, Tony, for advancing that. We use pins that are of a specific length that work with the specific details of the Peak cylinders. So even though the keys are cut to an original best A2 or best A4 depth system, the regular A2 or A4 pins from a best or a lab replacement kit may work on occasion because there is an overlap of tolerance. But if you use those pin kits specifically, instead of using the one that's designed for it, you will inevitably have difficulty with cylinders not working well. They'll either turn hard, they'll rub hard, the small format sleeves will not line up correctly, make the key hard to get in and out. So we highly recommend, and reason that it's on this slide, Tony, thank you for advancing it, is because it is imperative that you use Peaks pin kits at all times, because all the cylinders will work perfectly, especially during master keying. The overlap and tolerance is just enough that as the pin stacks on top of one another, they will start to get out of spec. Any more questions there, Tony, before I move on?
Let me see. I didn't see any. I think we cleared out, there was 3 or 4 there we cleared out. So we're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right, so another point that's important versus the competition is we do not charge for the creation of master key systems for Peaks as long as it's associated with a purchase order for uncomminated or combinated cylinders. The combinated cylinders pay for the master key cylinder itself, and if you're going to buy uncomminated Peak cylinders from me, we don't mind creating that master key system for you. So there's no sense in struggling and straining on the system. What we do require is we will have to have a door schedule, or we'll have to have a hierarchy of keys so that we do understand what the layout is of how you want the cylinders to be put together. If they're just uncombinated, obviously it's no big deal. If it is combinated, we will need to have that door schedule or hierarchy.
Okay, we have another question here, Mike, from Patricia. She was confused on who is the dealer, who is the distributor, and filling out the three-part agreement.
Okay. The contract is aimed at the dealer or the end user. The distributor part of the contract is just for whom you choose to buy your product through. So the distributor part needs to be filled out by the distributor. The locksmith dealer will only fill out the dealer part of the contract. I hope I answered that question.
Well, I think you have some more coming up on that in a couple of slides. So
Yeah, well, we'll talk some more about it, and then we'll just fill those questions, whatever I don't cover. The keys cut by code are for A2 or A4, and the schlag can't be done to the A4, only A2. This is something we just discussed in the pin kit. This whole system originally was set up on A2 and A4 best keying systems. Now, since that time, some of the plug diameters have been changed from what a small diameter, small format core plug is, but there are appropriate pins in the pin kit and an appropriate chart in the price list that will explain to you what pins to use on which cylinder if you cut A2 or A4. So that's pretty easy to solve. Next slide. Whoop, you skip one? Yeah. This seems to confuse a lot of people is the spacing on peaks. So I'm going to try to explain it as simply as I can so that you will understand why there are two different spacings. The entire product line of all the different styles of cylinders were originally set up on 140 spacing. The technical reason why they were set up on 140 spacing is because with the additional pin chamber for the peaks pin, a 6-pin system literally has 7 pins in it. You'll have 6 pins, obviously, that you change for combination. You'll have a 7th pin where the peaks chamber is. And physically, you run out of length on a cylinder. If you try to place all 7 of those pinholes, especially into the length of a key and knob cylinder, then you can only get 140 spacing will allow you to get 7 pinholes in it, but that's as far as you can go. So the entire system was originated on 140,000 spacing for that reason. So if you're going to use all the different styles of cylinders, mortise rim, key and knob, small format, large format maybe, they will all be on 140 spacing. Now, the reason the 150 spacing cores were created were specifically for small format cylinder applications only. So if you start off with 140, you can use any array, any style of cylinder. If you start off with 150, that works well for those properties who already has a base install of nothing but small format hardware. So their knobs, their levers, all of their deadbolts, everything is already prepped for small format. And the reason these were created was because we found in the past there were many facilities and institutions that wanted to continue to use their same tools for small format cores that they had always used on standard small format cylinders, which is also 150 spacing. So these were created specifically for properties that are already installed with a base prep for small format, who only choose to want to use small format and who prefer to use a 6 and 7 pin small format core at 150 spacing based off of the best spacings. Now, we touched on this earlier. This is just a reminder. Mortise cylinder cams, rim cylinder tail pieces, key and knob, key and lever, and key and deadbolt tail pieces are all the same for Ilco as it is for peaks and can all be interchanged. Okay, thank you, Tony. So we're going to spend just a few minutes talking about this process and signing up. This is a new dealer end user contract hardware sign up form. You basically have the instructions at the top, but I'll go through it pretty carefully, pretty quickly. And that is, you check the box and it should be, you should be one of these three. This is not information for the distributor. This is information from the person who is going to be issued the contract. So you check who you are, give me your company name, the contact person name, your physical address where you'll be selling in the general region of where you'll be selling, an email address for contact, a phone number for contact, the distributor you choose to buy through, and that distributor's address so that we make sure we don't get confused with the wrong branch. This all helps us determine what is the appropriate keyway to place in your area. So with this information, whether it is filled out manually or whether it's filled out electronically, once you click one of the boxes to identify your company, how you are, and fill out the rest of the information, there is an email address here with a live link that you can email it in, or you can scan this if it's handwritten and email it in. Our key records manager will take this information, look over it, fill out the contract with the appropriate information that he has, which would probably be just the dealer or end user. He may write in the distributor name and address, and then he's going to send those contracts to whomever inquired. It could be the distributor or the end user. Both have to sign it, but it doesn't matter which one signs it first and which one signs it second. Whomever signs it last and completes the contract, you merely need to scan the contract or email it back in to the key records manager whose email address and name is on this document. He will have the contract live, so he will have it by email. As soon as he does, he is going to establish what your dealer ID number and everything is going to be, send that correspondence back, and you'll be ready to place a purchase order. So the information form first, scan it, send it in. We'll get you a dealer ID and a keyway on it, send it back, and you'll be ready to place a purchase order. We will require hard copies to be mailed in by either distributor, our sales rep, or the end user or dealer, whomever it was that has the last one to sign it. But a scanned copy will get you eligible for a purchase order within 24 hours. Sorry about that, Tony. I was getting long-winded there. I didn't get finished.
That's okay. Mike, we did have a question come in from Paul, and he was asking how many keyways are there?
As politely as I know how, I don't repeat that and I don't tell it. There are a lot of keyways. There are individual keyways for dealers. There are multiple section keyways for end users that are still eligible for a dealer to sell. And for instance, if a dealer goes and sells a local school system, they do not have to rely on their individual dealer keyway. They can always approach HL Flake, tell them what the property is, tell them what the situation is, contact Key Records, or have HL Flake representative contact Key Records. We'll size up the right keyway, the right system, and the right contract for that job. The locksmith dealer will become the person who does the work, who is signed on to the contract to be authorized to do their work. And we have ways to place those keyways. But I don't generally just openly discuss how many keyways there are.
Excellent. Couple more here, Mike. Jamie had asked, is there an annual minimum to retain keyway?
No, there is not.
And then one other one here from Mike, is there a minimum yearly purchase?
Nope.
Perfect.
No penalties in this product line. If you buy in, we'll do our best we can to make you happy with it. Okay, Jay, do we need to go over some more? Are we okay?
I think we're good, man. That was really good. Thank you.
Okay. These are some support materials I just wanted to talk about. All of these are available through HL Flake. If you need to get in contact with our factory, we'll find a way to get you through your sales rep to somebody to get you what you need. We have brochures who explain a lot of what I went over today and shows you some of the benefits and makes it easy for you to sell to another property owner. There are counter mats, there are posters, and there are pinning mats for dealers. We can get you in touch with these if you choose to be a new dealer. Next one, Tony.
Yeah, we had a couple more questions here, Mark, or excuse me, Mike, that came in from.
Yeah, I'll be Mike. Somebody else can be Mike.
Mark is asking Mike, Is there a problem with multi-state operations? Mark covers 3 states, and can that be shared with one keyway?
It cannot.
Okay.
It cannot. It's a regional program. Now, we probably can put Mark on 3 different keyways as long as he uses them in 3 different places. There's more than one way to get around that, but we have to do it consistently and we have to keep up with what we're doing. As long as key records are recorded appropriately and the dealer only uses the appropriate keyway in the appropriate region, we won't have the overlap that we watch out for. Everything's good.
I think you covered this one in the beginning.
Doesn't matter.
On the year. Glenn was asking, when does the patent expire? And how long will the keyway be patent protected? And I think we're in the
Well, it
middle.
was on the first slide. I didn't discuss
Yeah.
it. The patent is good. The current patent is good for 2024. I haven't brought it up yet because it's on the next slide or so. We are well advanced on the new patent, and all of the dealers who are already on will just be, as they wish, will be rolled right into the new program.
Okay, Patricia came back here with still need to know who the distributor is. Would that be
Any Ilco distributor, especially today being HL Flake, can sell Peaks.
Yeah, she was saying, would that be H.E. Mitchell, HL Flake?
It could be any of those, but HL Flake has got the experience with it, and that is whom we're selling through and speaking through today.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll say, I'll just jump in here. You can reach out to the sales rep at H.E. Mitchell, or you can reach out to the sales rep at International Key Supply or HL Flake or McDonald Dash. And they will start that funnel to get, they'll get the information to you that you need. So
I was just about to refer that to you, Travis, for that very reason. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Yeah, in this case, Patricia, she finished off by, are we the dealer? And yes, that would be the case. So,
Exactly.
and so I think you're on the right track, Patricia, knowing that now.
Yep. Okay, next slide, Tony. So here are some displays that are available for, I'm sure that HL Flake in Houston has one in their showroom already. If not, KJ, I'll be having a conversation with you later.
Already done.
Having said that, these are put out there so that these are appropriate for will call areas and showrooms for locksmith dealers. So in the event that they choose to get into the Peaks business and they want to get a display for their area, these are available through HL Flake. I'll talk about this email address that's just below the picture of the 2 displays. This is an almost instantaneous help desk specifically for Peaks and Peaks related issues. If you have a problem with assembly, you have a question that comes up, you're trying to sell the program and you don't understand something or need to know something, this email will get you an answer most likely faster than anything else. That's why we created this email address, was to make it quick for any of the dealers or end users who need an answer to a question fast. I'd also like to point out below that, we do have our own Peaks Authentic YouTube channel, whereas I was able to convince a colleague of mine in the industry, William Link, to do some detailed videos to show the assembly of each and every one of the different styles of cylinders, how to calculate the combinations on a small system, and how to assemble them, where the Peaks pin goes, what has the Peaks pin installed at the factory, what does not. You owe it to yourself to at least take a look-see at these videos. They're very intuitive, very locksmith oriented, and set up and prepared and filmed exactly like a classroom. So I think you would enjoy looking at some of these. Next slide. So here I put in a little notation here just to remind everybody about the Powered by Ilco in the North Carolina factory, patent until 2024. The Peaks Tech email address, the YouTube channel, and then to watch out for PP Plus. Peaks Preferred Plus is coming down the road and coming soon. It should be retrofittable to this existing Peaks Preferred system. The only thing that will probably change will be the keys, and the keys should be backward compatible.
And Mike, how long will that kick the patent out to?
That'll be another 18 years.
Boom.
And I'll be retired. So somebody else will be talking about the next one.
Hold on, slow down, man. Slow down.
These are the gone fishing sign. Mike, we had a question from Janice. Does the Peaks have its own HPC card for depths and spacing?
No, you just use best A2.
Perfect.
Well, I take that back. I apologize. Let me answer that correctly. It's best depths, but there are cards for Peaks spacings. So you use Peaks cards, yes.
Excellent.
I have those card numbers. If she wants to reach out through somebody to get a connection, I have those card numbers for HPC. And that is what I have, unless we have some more questions or general conversation. Thank you very much, all you guys, for being online here and listening to my boring conversation. I hope I did spark a few questions and love to have you on board.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions at this point in time, but yes, it's open before we turn it back over to Travis, which has got a special way to end these webinars. Let's see, is there a question come in here? Yes, Janice asked, what is the promotional buy-in?
That's right.
That will be part of the promotion buy-in will be 0.
Okay.
There was a question earlier about that promo, Mike. Basically, what's the timeline? How long would someone have post this presentation to sign up and take advantage of that promotion?
It'll be during the month of June.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike, on that. Jeff has asked if end user wants to change locksmith dealers or change locksmith, dealer goes out of business, can it be transferred?
The dealer ID can't be transferred, but the work can. In other words, if the deal can be worked out, if the dealer that goes out has the records and they can work out a deal where they can exchange the records to the new dealer, the property can be moved, but the dealer ID will have to be new because dealer IDs are only specific to the customer. So we don't transfer the dealer ID, but we do transfer contracts and do transfer the work from a property to a new dealer if the other dealer is unable, unwilling, or retired to service the property.
Okay, another question here from Janice. Do we buy all pin kits or just one kit for the $450 price?
My recommendation is to buy the one kit for $450, which is the A2 Universal, because it will cover a lot of people never do A4 work unless they do it for the military. A4 is not near as popular as it used to be. The Universal A2 kit will fit 85–90% of all the applications, and only buy the Schlage kit in the event that you have to add Schlage cylinders into an existing system, or if you're doing primarily a Schlage system.
Perfect. Okay. And she goes on here, how much product, cost of cylinders to purchase, how much for keys? That might be one best. So, I mean,
well, that's probably handled better by the HL Flake sales rep
Yeah.
and the price list. It could take me a while to spout out all that. I could do some of it, but I only have the MSRP. They would have to check with the HL Flake sales representative to get that price.
yes. Okay. A couple more here that came in. Patricia, so instead of buying in, we only have to pay the $450 for the universal kit. We get $200 for products. Then we get $200 for products is what she's saying, I guess, on this one. So,
well, I don't want to get the promo confused with whatever Travis is running there, but the promo means during the promo period, if you sign up, your $3,000 sign up amount is waived. Plus, in addition to that, as part of the promo, if you purchase a U2 Universal Pin Kit, you will immediately be into qualification of getting a free gift box that will have some of the pinning mats, the posters, the counter mats, and some other parts, serviceable part kits that will come part as that gift box.
Okay, perfect on that. I hope that answered your question on that, Patricia. Mike asked, what is the part number for the A2 pin kit?
You'll have to forgive me. I try not to memorize this stuff. So I'll tell you something wrong if I do that. Pin kit number 3400-00-5012.
Want to read that one more time just for the audience sake?
3400-00-5012.
Thanks, Mike. Couple more that have come in here. Greg is asking, can you share phone number for tech customer service support?
I don't have that phone number. It's Joe, KJ, anybody know what that number is to dial in for tech?
Yeah, I'll give it to you. It's gonna be the main line there.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
it's the main line and then choose a selection for tech, but I'm not sure what that tech number is.
252-446-3321 is the main line of the office. The automated deal will pick up, and I believe you hit 8 for technical support.
Yeah, that's what I was asking was what, I don't know what selection the number is for tech.
Yeah, it should be 8. It tells you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if they can't get what they need, just send the email in on the tech line, on that technical email address, and I'll get them wherever they need to get to.
Perfect.
If it's Peaks related, use the email.
Okay, so Jeff here asked, do you have any pinning mats?
I do.
Mats, and I'm sure you do, don't you? at this
I
point?
do.
Yes. Plenty of those. Nicole
Tell him-
asked,
Tell him
Oh,
if he signs up, there'll be a gift and buys a pin kit, there'll be a gift box with some in it.
okay, perfect. Thanks. Nicole has asked, if I become a dealer, do I automatically receive your own keyway or our own keyway?
You receive a keyway to be
Keyway or
used in your general area. Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And then Jeff said we've been a Peaks dealer since 1995, I believe. So,
Cool. Thank you very much.
yeah.
Thanks for sticking with us when it wasn't so good.
On that.
Travis Howell, are you still on there?
Yes, sir.
The only thing I wanted to make sure, and you know, maybe the issue is just solely mine. The gentleman that was asking, Jamie, that was asking about the AD 433. I wanted to make sure that question was answered. I didn't know if you wanted to turn that person's mic on so they could confirm that was answered, or re-ask it, or whatever on the AD 433 punch.
I think what he was asking was he was mentioning that it cuts peaks, no problem. Will it cut peaks preferred?
Peaks preferred, yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same.
Okay.
There's only one ward change on the preferred blank versus the classic blank. So if whatever they have that is cutting classic, it will also cut preferred.
Cool. Thank you.
And I think Jeff was saying, you know, how does he get a pinning mat? He's not going to sign up for a new key. He's already had one since 90, or he's been
Just tell him to send me an email.
all right. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Jeff's still on. So good
Just
deal.
for the audience then, Travis, I don't know if the audience sees any email addresses, but Mike, do you want to
No, they can use my that tech email address. It's fine.
email address? Okay,
Yeah.
great. On that. Okay, I think we've cleared out the questions at this point. I don't see any more coming in. Travis, do you want to
Yeah,
close the session?
certainly. So yeah, if there are no other questions, I mean, again, if anybody has a question, you can go ahead and put it in there now, or you can do the raised hand. If you want to ask it live, we'll just do one last call. One last call for questions. Otherwise, I will go over here and we'll get the spin wheel pulled up.
Travis, can you share your screen? Do you need Tony turn his off?
You need me to stop, Travis?
Oh, it's because I'm not. Yeah, I do need you to stop. Well,
Jamie
and
Hood
actually,
does have his hand raised right now.
all right, I'll open that up.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
When you guys say general area, does that mean that no other locksmith in my area can get a copy of that? That it's going to be proprietary to me in this so far of a radius?
That doesn't mean specifically that no one else will have that keyway, but we do try to keep that from happening. We try to prevent overlap in all cases. In some cases, there are just so many people and so many locksmiths that we end up with the same keyway in the same general area, but we try to keep a minimum of 100 miles difference.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
even so, each dealer, their keys are stamped.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, but the one thing about it is the contract is going to protect you with what you have as an installed base. And what that means is, and I'm glad you asked that question, even if you have the same keyway in two different dealers in the same town, if you have a dealer that starts duplicating keys on a property that you maintain, then that dealer is going to get a cease and desist letter. And then if it continues to happen, I'll pull their contract and they won't be able to buy a product. Now, that is not to say that they can't come in and take over that property and start replacing cylinders, because any competitor could do that.
Okay.
But they cannot make keys on your dealer ID.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Anybody else have any questions? If not, I will go ahead and get the spin wheel up here and we'll go ahead and pick the winner for, again, we're giving away a $200 Best Buy gift card.
You put my name in there, right, Travis?
No, sir.
Come on,
I
man.
thought I saw Joe Williams' name in there.
All right. And it looks like it's
Hey.
Michael Galligano of New Hartford Safe and Lock Company. So congratulations to Michael. I have your email here, and so I'll do a Best Buy gift card and it will come to your email that you registered with. So looks like Glenn has one more question.
Yes, does the factory stamp keys with the locksmith's name?
Yes, we can, and yes, we do. We can also engrave it too at a lesser price without having to buy a very expensive stamp.
Excellent. Mike, I can't thank you enough for being the lead presenter and such a knowledge and history with this topic in this product sector on that. And I'll end by saying thank you very much to HL Flake, especially Travis, for hosting, allowing us to conduct this webinar and being the host for it. So, and last but not least, thank all of the participants for taking the time today. Excellent questions that came in. And we look to see you in another webinar. We have a series of them coming straight from the manufacturer side with Advanced Diagnostics and Ilco that we've teamed up with HL Flake many times and hope to be doing so in the near future.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for being here.
Thank you all very much.
Have a great day. Have a great
Thank you,
weekend.
everybody.
My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
See ya.
Take care.
Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.